welcome to this panel discussion on investment banking. Thank you for joining us this morning. So my name is Carlo Chiarella. I'm a professor of finance here at CUNEF Universidad. And with me today, this morning, is Laura and Alejandro. We're going to talk a little bit together with us about investment banking and share their perspective on the industry and career path and why investment banking is a good kickstarter of your finance career. Let me also thank Paula, who are from CUNEF Club de Bolsa, who has put us in touch with Lara and Alejandro and made this possible. So I would like to start this panel discussion by leaving the floor to Lara and Alejandro to introduce yourselves and the banks you work for, and a little bit of background information on how you got there.
Okay, so should I start? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So first of all, thank you, Kunef, and thank you, Paula, for doing this. I think that is something that I will wish I had in my bachelor degree. So it's something that you should take this as a big opportunity to learn a little bit about more in the industry. So then I'm Lara. I'm currently at CACIB as an M&A analyst. I did a bachelor degree in business administration, which is ADE, in the University of Vigo, and then I did a couple of internships, not in the finance industry, but yes, in the finance-related department of some companies. Then, as I knew that in Vigo I couldn't get a job in investment banking, then I decided to move to London to do a master's degree in corporate finance at Bayes Business School. Then, as you probably know or not, the job industry in London is super tough. It's really difficult to get a position there in investment banking. So then for me, it was like really, really difficult. So I tried to get a position in Madrid, and then I finally got it. So then I start in June 2024 at CACIB as an off-cycle, and then I convert into analyst.
Thank you very much. Alejandro, you want to share something as well?
Hey guys, it feels like yesterday when I was there. I'm an alumni. I used to come to all of these events, so thanks a lot for contacting us. I think it's truly important. My name is Alejandro. I studied in CUNEF, Business and Law, in Leonardo di Castro. And during my career, I did several internships in finance because I knew I wanted to get there. I did in Proa Capital, which is a private equity, in BBVA, in the M&A team, Societe Generale, in ECM. Then you can ask me any question of it if you want. And finally, I got to JPM in Madrid as a working student during my last year of the university degree. I did 6 months, and then I got offered to come back as an off-cycle. It's how it works at JPM. I did another 6 months, and now I've been as an analyst for 4 months. And during those 4 months, I had 1 month in New York in the well-known training, which is amazing. I truly recommend trying to get there because it's a really enriching experience. And for those of you who don't know, JP Morgan is a global financial services firm. It's the investment bank with the highest market cap out of all of them, more than doubling the second tier top investment bank. And what's different about Madrid, just for those of you who don't know, in London, the investment banking team specializes in different industries. So you have media and comms, energy, real estate, you have all of the industries separated. So you specialized in one. And in Madrid, as it's our regional team, we're only about 14 people in the team, including the most senior ones. So we're like a very small team. And we always work with London, Australia, New York in the different deals. So we get to work in many different industries and many different geographies. So we touch a bit of everything. And then the good part about it is that if you want to go abroad, it has a super big global platform. And you can go ahead in 2 years' time, move to London, move to New York, and specify in an industry in another geography, which I really recommend to look for it.
Well, thank you very much, Alejandro. I think we have already introduced a lot of keywords, and I was taking note of some of them. We have been talking about off cycle, we have been talking about training program. I would leave this part for later in today's talk, when we're going to talk a little bit about the recruiting process, and also go a little bit more into the interviews and how you get an investment banking job. But before doing that, let me talk a little bit about what is investment banking. So you have introduced a little bit already of the structure of how JP Morgan, for example, is organized. I would like to ask, for example, to Lara first and then to Alejandro, what do you see investment banking is? What is your perspective on the industry? What are the specific tasks you're doing on a day-to-day basis? What are the type of deals you're working on? In this way, to give a flavor to the audience of what they can expect on a day-to-day basis working in investment banking.
Okay, so as Alejandro said, I think that in London is super different from Madrid. In London, they are like specialized in industry or products. In Madrid, you are more generalist. So probably you can work in the investment banking team and you can work in M&A transactions, ECM transactions, or even like some debt advisory transactions. So it's kind of different. I will talk about more Madrid, like in sense of Cathay, we're divided in some departments. For instance, we are specialized in M&A, so we just only do M&A transactions because we have a specific team for ECM and for DCM and for LevFin, which is a leverage finance, specialized in LBOs. So we are like separated in this kind of divisions. And then like for me on a day-to-day basis, it's not a typical day, let's say, in M&A. You can work in marketing materials or you can work in deal on live deals. So for instance, you can arrive at the office and you have like a bunch of emails from your clients that are like requesting a lot of, I don't know, analysis. Probably you have to work on a presentation for the client. You have to work on evaluation analysis for the client. I don't know, do a DCF or try to run some numbers to get what the client needs. And you can also work at the same time in marketing, like in pitches. So you start to present opportunities to some potential clients. So I don't know, any investment opportunity that could be in the market. So the director or even like the VP told you like, hey, we have to prepare a pitch to, I don't know, like Brookfield and try to convince them to sell their portfolio in next. So you start to work on this. So sometimes you have like these two tasks. So it's really important that you are really, really good at multitasking because you have like a lot of things going on. And of course, like the execution is priority than the marketing. But so first you need to do the task that the client requires you to do. And then like the rest of the time that you can have for the day, you just spend time on marketing things.
Alejandro, you want to follow up on that?
Yeah, of course. I would say the same. I mean, what we advise, we mostly advise in sell sides, buy sides, mergers, takeover defense, shareholder activism, and many more. What we do in a daily basis.
Sorry, Alejandro. Maybe sell side by side requires a little bit of
apologies. Apologies.
Elaboration.
Yes. So basically, a sell side would be a client comes to the senior guy at JPM. Hey, I wanna sell my business, 30% of my business. So we advise the seller. That's a sell side. And then it can be the opposite. Somebody is saying JPM knows, so the seniors go and pitch, which is like a marketing deck, to the management of maybe to private equities or other strategic companies, and they pitch the company that's being sold and explain the rationale behind why you should buy the business. And if they go ahead and they say, okay, JPM, please go ahead, get us in the process, then we would be advising the buyer. That's a buy side. And there's not a typical day in investment banking, that's for sure. And that's one of the things I like the most about this job. It's not repetitive at all. Every day you learn something new, every day you do something new, and that's really appreciated. I would say we do a lot of company research, industry research. We do a lot of modeling, valuation analysis, a lot of PowerPoint. Every message goes into a PPT, so you'll get a master of PowerPoint, that's for sure. And I mean, not a typical day, what we always do is you wake up, you have to check your email because you'll have hundreds of emails, even 1,000 every day, and you'll have to be on top of everyone. So you'll have to check that. You may have 5 work streams at a time, so you'll have to organize yourself since first time at the morning and prioritize in terms of deadline. And of course, maybe you have to do some days, like there's no other way around it. You'll have to manage some senior expectations on timing. So that's good to do first time in the morning, so they already know when they'll be receiving the work stream. And yeah, like just to give a bit of context, recently, for example, it's now public. We advised Donte. Well, we advised both the sell side because we sold the business. We advised Advent, which was a private equity who sold Donte to OTPP. I was not involved in the M&A because I was at New York, but I advised the buy side, and we underwrote the staple financing, which if the business was selling at 1 billion euros, for example, 500 was debt. JPM puts the name into that debt and say, okay, we will take care of your debt. We will sell your debt into the market. And if not all of it it's sold, we will take care of the rest. That's what we did with Donte. We sold all of it. And in that specific deal, I was involved in the lender's presentation, we say, which is a presentation where we put like a risk that the business has from a lender's perspective, which is amazing because you get to see what the lenders want to know about the business in order to put the money into the business. And also, we did a lot of Q&A. So the lenders, they have the materials, they know about the company. Now they have questions. They want to know more deeply into those questions. And there is where the job of an analyst really bright, because you have to find the mitigants to those risks. And you cannot believe how much you can learn about a business by doing this. It's amazing. So I really recommend it. I love Q&As.
Well, Alejandro, thank you very much. It's a fantastic example. Also, you reminded us of how busy the day is. So once again, we're very much grateful you made the time today to spend an hour with us. And I also like very much the fact that you have introduced an example that shows how investment banking is a fees business. So you have clients that are you have to, you provide your services to on advisory in case of M&A, or taking on some balance sheet risk for the investment bank when you underwrite securities. So when you bring the securities that companies want to issue in order to get new financing to investors in the case of underwriting on debt markets, but also on capital markets. I don't know if, Lara, you want to share some example of recent deals you have been working on in this respect that can be shared, because many times as an investment banker, you also have to keep secrets because you're going to be under non-disclosure agreements.
Well, a recent transaction that we did that is public is that we advised Brookfield on the sale of a student residence, a PVCA, with Morgan Stanley and Eastdil, and we sold it to CPP Investments. So we were in the M&A side, so we prepare all the SIM, the management presentation, the teaser. We ran all the conversations with the potential buyers. So as Alejandro said, you have to be really, really good at the Q&A, especially the analysts, because probably the associate don't want to do that task. So the analyst is the one who's running and who's taking care of the Q&A. And then that's something that I could share.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you very much. So now I would like to move on. Now that we have introduced a little bit what investment banking is and the type of activities you are involved into, I would like to discuss with you why starting a career in finance, investment banking brings value to the table, in the sense that what is that you learn by working in investment banking early in your career, because it is an investment you are doing yourself in terms of times, in terms of resources, but it's an investment that I personally think it pays off. So I would like to hear from you what hedge it gives you in terms of what you learn on the job, and also what kind of prospects it gives you for the next stages of your career.
You want to start? Or?
No, you can go.
Okay. Yeah. So if you guys are thinking about starting in investment banking, I can understand you've heard that we work many hours and so on. That's kind of true. I'm not gonna lie. It's not like every day you work long hours. It depends. But I truly recommend it because like it's not like all the years you work for so long. It gets better and better. And you learn so many things. Not only about, because I used to hear a lot like modeling, valuation. We do a lot of that, which is really cool. But we also touch a lot on the business side. So you also get to see different business models. You learn a lot about the inside of the business, and also it's hard, but you'll see yourself. You learn how to manage stress, which I think is crucial, and the doors that this job opens are incredible. Like I've seen a lot of people sadly leaving the bank, but they don't leave. They live in a really well position. Not only private equities, because people do, okay, I'm gonna do 2-3 years, I'll move to a private equity. Not only private equities, you're always in touch with clients, with really important clients, and they know you. Like since you're an analyst, you have a lot of exposure, and you're in contact with really important people in really important businesses, and they know you. So in the future, you always have like big opportunities outside. You can also you also get to work and meet a lot of international people, which I find really interesting. Even at New York, that month was amazing. We were 380 people, I think, new joiners from all parts of the world. We were only 8 Spaniards, and the rest were people from Dubai, New York, London, of course, Italians. There were many. There were a lot of international people. You get to know them on the training, and then you work with them in the following years. And of course, you learn a lot at university. Like we didn't even realize, but we had a lot of typos, a lot of like little errors. You fix them so quickly in this job. You get such an incredible attention to detail, which then you appreciate. And I would say I've never been organized. I was a mess in that, but there's no other way around it. I became a bit more organized, and you get to be on top of everything. And yeah, I would really recommend it. So if you're thinking about it, please go ahead.
And adding to Alejandro what have said, I will say like the learning curve in investment banking is super exponential. So you start as an off-cycler, of course, as Alejandro said, you probably are gonna have to work like double the hours that a normal person do, like, I don't know, like 13, 14, 15, 16 hours per day. So of course the knowledge that you're gonna learn is massive compared like probably to other person who works just only like 8 hours. So you're like doubling it. So of course the learning that you're having is much higher. And then I think like in my opinion, it's a really good first step to get into the job market. Gives you a lot of good skills. As Alejandro said, attention to detail. You pay a lot of attention to some mistakes that you probably don't know. Like in the industry, like when you're studying, probably you do, or you just do a document and you don't read it again. But in investment banking, probably the document is going to be read by, I don't know, like 3, 4, or 5 people before going to the client. So it's super important to pay attention to these details. It's important to be organized. So of course, if you are not, you learn to do these kind of things that makes you be organized. So gives you like a lot of soft skills, I will say, that are really important for the next step in your career. And of course gives you like technical knowledge. For instance, I'm talking about myself. I didn't know any of the private equities in Spain. I didn't know most of the companies in Spain, but now I'm like super knowledgeable, not super of course, but I know like a lot of companies in the telecom sector, in the energy sector, because in CACE, well, we try to focus on these kind of sectors. So you learn a lot about these things. So if you want to move to a company who is specialized in this industry, you're gonna know like a lot about it. So I will say that it's a really good opportunity to just be in investment banking and then try to move, or even like in Madrid, I think that's my opinion, you can have a career in investment banking.
Well, thank you very much. It's very insightful and very much aligned with what I was expecting, because I remember in my early days, a few years ago, when I was working next to investment bankers, they were saying only the best is enough. And maybe you are going to that point. In a sense, it's that kind of mindset, no? That everything has to be bulletproof, because you go to a client and the reputation of the bank is on the line, on top of your reputation, and there is a lot at stake, so everything needs to be perfect. So attention to detail and willingness to put the extra effort to land a deal. No, so this is, I think, very good, and also it also helps the transition to the next part of this panel discussion, in which I would like to introduce a little bit how you get there to get an investment banking job. My impression is that it's very much path dependent, in the sense that there are things that you need to do in order to prepare for an investment banking job. I think that some of you will leave today's discussion with the impression that there is a language that you need to learn before you approach investment banks. So there is a landscape that you need to learn about before you start applying for investment banking jobs. I'm sure that we have been using words that sound vague for you, and you will have to read, you will have to get informed in order to understand what they actually mean, because there is a little bit of jargon in the investment banking industry that everybody understands from the inside. But then when you talk to people who are on the outside, it's hard to grasp. And also, it's very important to know the ecosystem, as Lara was saying. So you need to work, who are the players, what are the investment banks out there, but also who are their clients, what different profile of clients you're going to have, private equities, strategic companies, or other types of entrepreneurs, or companies that want to raise funds, or other things about investment banking we have not been talking about, which has to do with the market infrastructure, so sales and trading, equity research, and things like that. So it's important that when you go and first start this process of trying to get an investment banking job, you know what the landscape looks like. I don't know if you can provide us some info on a general level of how the investment banking recruiting process works, because there are some key dates you have to keep in mind, the timelines that you need to keep in mind to be on cycle. But there are also off-cycle opportunities. They're going to explain what they mean. Also trying maybe to emphasize a little bit what is the difference between an investment banking job in Madrid compared to London or New York. You have already touched a little bit into that, so that everybody has sort of a path on where they should go in case they are interested to follow and start their career in investment banking, and know what are the skills that are needed, and maybe if you have some tips you want to share of the things that worked in your case.
I can like touch base something, and then I will let you, because I don't know the Spanish market because I've studied in London, so I know more the recruiting process in London, and I can talk a little bit about it, but not that much, because we are in Spain and probably most of you are gonna work here. And what I would like to say that investment, that it's really, really difficult to get a job in Madrid. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's difficult. I will say that CUNEF it's a really good university. Most of our off-cycles and even analysts are from CUNEF. So you have like a really good door there because university like highlights in your CV. So it's something that you should take into account. And I don't know, like probably you can work talk
Yeah.
a little bit on the Spanish market.
Yeah, so it's true that it's a competitive process, but nothing's impossible, of course. Like if you work hard for it, you'll get it, 100%. In Madrid, for example, we have a working student program, apprentice, and this is a program for people who are still at university. So maybe it's your last year at university, and while doing your exams, you'll work for us full time. That's what I did at first. And then we have an off-cycle program, which is exactly the same, but you get a bit more of exposure. You work as an analyst, basically, for 6 months, and you're not at university anymore. And after that, you get promoted to an analyst. So it's 1 year as an intern, or you can try directly go for an off-cycle, but I recommend going first for the working student program. You have to apply for the Madrid office. I'll correct you. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong, but the process starts on June. It's important. I recommend applying as soon as it's out. You can go to LinkedIn and activate your notifications. And so basically, you send your CV. You have a high review we call, which is like a 20-minute video. They ask you multiple questions. You have time to think about the answer. It's not really technical. It's just to see like how you think about the questions, how you answer. If you go straight to the point, it's not a big deal. Then after that, you get we do. This is in the Madrid office. I can touch a bit about London, but I'm not really experienced in that process. But in the Madrid office, then we call you. It depends on the year, but usually around first days of October, maybe we call you. You have your first interview with an analyst or an associate. This is usually half technical and half personal. So typical questions are introduction about yourself. I recommend having a speech for that one for 1 or 2 minutes, not too long. Then why JPM, why investment banking? Those are the kind of questions we ask for the personal ones. And then we do the technicals. For the technical ones, I recommend some guides. You probably have them. If not, I'm sure a colleague has them, or I can send them to you and you can share. But the Breaking into Wall Street guides, those are good ones to start off studying. I recommend doing both the basics and the advanced. 100% do all of the exercises there. And not only study it, but understand it. Because like you have to really know that the process is really competitive. There's a lot of people who know it 100%. They know it really well. So it's important not only to study, but to understand and be able to perform well in the exercises that are not 100% related to the content that's there, but you can extrapolate that information and play around with it so that we know you understand it, right? And we usually do some brain teasers as well, which I also recommend practicing it because like it's not mandatory. I mean, it's not mandatory to practice, but it helps. Everything helps. Hard work always pays off. and then after that first interview, we select a few people, and then you have the assessment center we call, which is in the Madrid office. It's 3. I think in London is the same now. It's 3 interviews with more senior people, usually VPs and above, and those are more technical. Again, please understand the content, and after that one, usually we already know the final candidate. If we are doubting, maybe there could be another small interview with another person. But that's the process in Madrid. In London, we have the summer internship. It's 4 weeks only, 4 weeks during your career, and then they can make you an offer to come back as an analyst once you finish your degree. And for this one, I'm not 100% sure. If you guys are interested, please feel free to contact me on LinkedIn. But it used to be different. Now I think it's the same. You have is the hire view. You have one interview. Even the Madrid office, for people in Madrid, we do those interviews. It's online. And then you have the assessment center, which is 3 interviews online. Same format as the one I explained before.
Great, thank you very much. I don't know if Lara, you want to add something from your perspective, which
Yes.
started in the UK and then.
Yeah. Like, first of all, in terms of Madrid, I did like a couple of interviews for different banks, US banks and of course European banks. And it's like completely different the US rather than the Europeans. For instance, at Cafe, we did 4 rounds on interview. The first one is analyst associates. So I will say that the technical questions there are like super basic. So please be prepared for that. It's like super basic. So like you should go to the interview and study, because if you waste the time of the analyst of the associate, so it's not gonna be good for you and even like for them, of course. And then like you have the second interview, which is in our case more technical with the associates, VPs, and then like the third and fourth interview, which are with the directors and MDs, which are like, I don't know, like super not technical, just they want to know you, they want to know your interests, why M&A. I remember that my director at Cafe asked every off cycle why M&A, and he really wants to know or to see that you have a genuine interest in an M&A, because of course as an off cycle you're gonna doing tasks that no one wants to do it. So of course that person has to have a genuine interest in M&A. And then with the MD, that sometimes they do some brainstorm. I think that is called brainstorm exercises. So be prepared for that. I think that on Google there are like plenty of them, and even in the guides that Alejandro said, there are some of them. So I think that in the European banks it's kind of this, like 3 to 4 interviews, and there is no high view. At least what I've done. And then like in London is quite the opposite. The summer, as you said, is for the 3rd year university, and then you do the summer, then you spend the last year in university, and then you receive your offer to come back. And if not, you have the off-cycle path that is quite similar to Madrid. I will say that the difference between London and Madrid is in London you have plenty of opportunities. You probably have like, I don't know, 150 banks that you can apply for. In Madrid, you don't have that. The banks are like, I don't know, 20, 30. So then in London, I would say that it's super difficult to get the first interview, but the interviews are easier, at least in my opinion. And then in Madrid, it's more easy to get the interview, but the interviews are difficult, because I will say that you're interviewing like more people. It's not that in London they're interviewing like more, of course, but in relative terms, it's not that much. And then in Madrid, you will like a person there who wants to, or who's gonna be part of the team. Like for instance, at Cafe, we are only 10 people, so we have like now 2 off cycles, and the off cycles are like doing the work as an analyst. So they like have to develop themselves and try to learn by themselves, because we don't have time or too much time to teach them. And it's in London, I think it's completely the opposite. I have like a lot of friends in bulge brackets who are like a pool of analysts, and they're like doing like, for instance, pitches and executions, but not that much. And they don't get that exposure in the market. I think that in Madrid, as there are like smaller offices, probably JP Morgan, you're not so big, right?
Yeah, we're
So the exposure that you get is it's bigger. So I think that there are like the main comparables from Madrid and London.
Good, thank you very much. So before moving on to the Q&A, so that's to leave some space for you to ask your own questions. Just 3 quick follow-ups on what emerged from these last points you raised. So I would like to ask you to provide a little bit of context in terms of backgrounds of the people who are working next to you, in the sense of where they come from, in terms of what the type of studies they have done, and so on and so forth. And also we have mentioned some things that maybe not everybody is familiar with in terms of VP or managing director. So what is the career path in investment banking? So you mentioned that there are some outside options, but within investment banking, what would be the career path? So how do you progress? What are the different figures to which you can promote? And as a final note, a little bit also on a personal note. So when I drive to CUNEF in the morning, I listen to the FT news brief. When at noon, I received a newsletter from the New York Times, which is called Deal Book, which is free. You can sign up and you receive information on deals. Do you have any suggestion on that our audience can use to get this investment banking mindset and to be on top of what is happening in the industry, so that when they start building the language that they need, and at the same time when they will go to interviews, they will know what is happening around them?
I will say, from your first point, I will say that most of the people who are working in investment banking came from or ICADE or CUNEF, at least at my bank. We're like some of them who comes from other universities, but most of them is CUNEF and ICADE. So nowadays, at least from what I have seen in the past months, the CVs are like really, really good, guys. Like you have like really good experience right now. You have like really good universities. So sometimes what differentiates you between the others is the soft skills. So as Alejandro said, you're working like a lot of hours, so you would like to have someone who is like nice, who you can talk with, and not only about the work, if not about other things. And then like moving to the other question, I will say, for at least from my perspective, what I would like to tell you is try to be different in some ways and don't lie on the CV, because I catch some of them lying, and it's not good, because of course if someone lies you, like I don't know, if you put I don't know, gold medal in the Olympics, I'm gonna check that, of course, and if it's not true, it's gonna be okay. No, this guy is not gonna pass. And be smart, be, I don't know, willing to work and be enthusiastic. I think that someone who shows the interest, who is like really, really willing to work on this, for me, it's the best candidate. I don't care if, I don't know, he doesn't or she doesn't know anything about accretion dilution, or because it's something that you're gonna learn in the job. But for me, it's the other way around. Like someone who is like enthusiastic about the industry, for me is the best.
So just before letting also Alejandro add on this, Lara may name names of university. We're very happy that as our students make it into investment banking. My question was also related to the type of background in terms of what kind of studies they do. In terms, I think that you can think of it as something in which you go with another degree, having studied business or economics, but it's not necessarily the case. No, I think that also engineering and more, let's call it quantitative type of backgrounds are getting space. I don't know if this is also your impression as well.
That's true, but less. Like most of them are law and business.
Law, exactly.
Law and business, or business only, or even law. We have like a couple of engineers in our team, but it's not the usual. Let's say probably there are like some of them, at least what I know, but it's not the usual path. I will say, and I remember now like the path for a career in investment banking. So you start up probably as an off-cycle or a summer intern or whatever. Then you move to analyst. You spend 3 years, 2.5, depends on you. Of course, on the bank, and then you move to associate. Associate is like more technical. You spend a lot of time in valuation and in modeling, rather than analyst. Analysts spend time on modeling, but not that much, more on PPTs. And then 3 years of associate, and then you move to VP, and then like the path now is a little bit slow. It really depends on you, and really depends on your capabilities. I will say to associate, most of the people get, but from associate to MDs, it's not that easy, I will say, because it's not that you have to know a lot of technical issues or a lot of modeling. If not a VP, you should start to think about the marketing, think about what kind of clients could buy this, what kind of companies can be interested in this opportunity. So I will say that that is probably the point that you should decide whether you continue in investment banking or you move to another industry.
Yeah, nothing much to add really. In the Madrid office at JPM, we have quite a lot of engineers. It's appreciated. These people usually after their career they do a master in finance and then they apply. Regarding the seniority, I think it's the same at JP Morgan. What is true is that the Madrid office is very small. So as Lara said, not everyone gets past the associate level, but JPN has such a big platform that if you're good since the beginning, if you demonstrate you're passionate about the job, that you want to keep growing, they'll make your way. They'll make your way out for sure. I've seen a lot of people going to London to keep growing their career. Even New York, Australia, they may spend 3 years there, and then they come back and they've been able to promote as if they had been in the Madrid office, but with more background. It's appreciated. Everyone has to go abroad for at least 1 or 2 years in the Madrid office. And I'm not sure if you want me to answer any other question.
No, I think it's perfect. Thank you very much. I would like to highlight just two things as takeaways. So you need to be passionate about the industry and the job, and you need really to be committed to excellence. I think these are the two requirements. Then there are different paths of starting to work into the industry. So it's 45 minutes into the talk. We still have a few minutes left. Also, Alejandro and Lala will be staying a little bit afterwards if you want to ask questions. But let's open the floor for questions from the audience. Paula.
Hi. Thank you very much, first of all, for coming here and for everything you've said. First of all, you've talked about the interviews and how to manage them, but how do we get to the interviews? I think that's like the hardest part. The filter nowadays is like crazy. You have to basically get a master's degree into how to get into investment banking. So what are the tips that you can give us to just get to the interview? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Paula. I mean, there's no many ways around it. I think for me, I think you have to take university degrees. You don't have to get a 9 as a final score, not a 10. But you need to take university seriously because we get a lot of good CVs. And then you just have to apply in the web, LinkedIn, whatever. If you feel more comfortable, of course, feel free to write an analyst. He'll probably see your interest. I don't recommend writing all the analysts in the team, but if you want to write an analyst, go ahead and do it. And after that, if you have a good CV, you'll get to the interview. I mean, you don't need a master to get into it. Of course, there are people who prepare you, and they'll make sure like you don't only know the content, but you also understand it. For me, I think you can do it yourself, especially coming from CUNEF. Like I studied at CUNEF, and when you get into the guides, you're already rolled. Most of the things in there sound familiar. So if you guys were engineers, of course, I would say go ahead, do a master in how to break into investment banking. But for me, it's take university serious. You don't need a 9, but but have a good final score if possible. Then, if you can, do one. Not everybody has prior experience. at least in the at JPM. But of course, it's appreciated if you've already done some other internships, because we know that you've already tried the industry, the sector, you know how it works, and that you still want to grow your career in there. And then know the content, but the most importantly, as Lara said, there's a lot of good people out there. The key is letting us know that you are a person that we want to have next to us for such long hours during the days. That's all I can say.
And it's in terms of luck. Like, to be honest, I wish I can say something different, but it's luck. And the opportunity that you have to kill it. And that's it. You're going to have, like, I don't know, depends on your CV, of course. It's going to be people, for instance, I don't know, I'm talking about myself. I know that I knew in the past year that I've never got an offer for JP, Goldman, or Morgan because I didn't have the CV for that. So sometimes you should know that to not, don't have like good expectations. But for instance, I'm talking about European banks and what I did. I've talked with some analysts. Of course, don't talk to all the analysts of on the team because we talk to each other. So it's not good if you talk to, I don't know, 10 analysts on the team. And I don't know, like try to understand a little bit the bank, try to listen to him or to her. What is the role on the bank? And even like I don't know, some people called me or like wrote me on LinkedIn and I gave them a call. And for instance, I don't know, they passed me their CV and then I put it on our folder because in our case we ran the process a little bit different from other banks. And then like the whole team decide if the CV is going on or not. But at least I put the CV on it because sometimes you're like a really, really good CV that in a bunch of CVs gets lost. But I will say it's in terms of luck. Like you have to be lucky.
Yeah, and your CV, it's a great marketing tool. Like, not only give us your grades, where you studied, where you went abroad. If you have something interesting, just note it down because we read it, and it's really interesting when you have something different that differentiates you from the others, and we take it into account.
Any other question? General or specific one? There is one there at the back and one here.
Hello, thank you. You were saying before that master degrees are recommendable for engineers and similar people who have studied in those type of careers. But in terms of finance students, how recommendable do you think it is to pursue to study like a CFA or an MBA? And do you recommend doing it straight after college or like maybe 5 years after entering the business?
At least in my opinion, I don't think the CFA is gonna put you in, I don't know, the top of the list. At least my opinion for an off cycle. It's really good that you have it. We have like 2 CFA charter holders in our bank, but it's not what is gonna to put you in at the top. MBAs, I think that is too soon. And even a master's, in my opinion, that's my personal opinion. I did a master's because I didn't have a really good background. My university is not known, so of course I did a master. Here, I think that is in the opposite way around. Most of the people who get an offer from ICADE or CUNEF didn't do a master's, and I think that you're in a really, really good position. So, in my opinion, I will spend time learning the technical skills, learning all what you have to learn to get into investment banking, talk to people, having coffee chats, I don't know, whatever. Try to find all of the banks when they open the positions and everything, and then spend the time there rather than doing a master's. That's my opinion. For instance, I don't want to do publicity, but I did a course here in Madrid, which is called Thrive. It's in investment banking. I did it because I didn't have the knowledge, not even like I didn't know anything about the Madrid investment banking industry, so I did that, and it's kind of a master's, and it's less expensive, let's say, but it depends on you, I will say, but I don't think that it's gonna put you on the top of the rest of the candidates if you do a master's or if you do this CFA.
There was another question here in this third.
Thank you very much for sharing your experience. This is a typical these days questions, but different from the other questions that my teammates made. Do you think that artificial intelligence is going to, or is a threat for investment bankers, especially regarding PowerPoints, financial modeling, or valuations?
I'm gonna be super short. Helps a lot. Like I promise. I just put I don't know. I put a lot. I search a lot of info on internet. I promise. And I said, ChatGPT, please do a company overview. And when you're like at 2 a.m. doing this thing, you probably ChatGPT helps a lot. And in my opinion, it's something that all banks should have. The model is. I don't think that's gonna to replace all the associates. I think it's super difficult. I don't know. But in terms of that, I think helps a lot. Like I promise helps a lot. Of course, you have to search in Google that what ChatGPT tells you is correct. But amazing. For me, it's the best tool.
I don't have a clear view, to be honest. I would say it won't replace any jobs, or at least not many, but it's definitely making things more efficient. We don't have much artificial intelligence yet on the PowerPoint side, nor on the Excel, but we cannot use GPT due to a confidentiality basis, but we have like our own GPT at JPM. We use that one, and that's really, really useful, especially nowadays for company research, industry research. You can upload documents, tell them to give you a number, whatever. But not yet, we haven't seen it at JPM in PPT or Excel.
Thank you.
Time for a last question, maybe, or a couple of them.
Hi, first of all, thank you for the talk, of course. You were talking before about people that come from another degrees or another specialties, and I was curious about how many people of law school come into your teams, and if it's the case, what did they do, or what did they specialize in to get into those types of jobs? Thank you.
Yeah. Having studied only law, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we have a really small team in Madrid, so don't generalize this. We don't have anyone who has only studied law, but don't worry, because I don't think it's a problem. I would then recommend to do a master in finance or something, so you get the knowledge, the experience, and people see that you're interested. But yeah, don't worry. We're only like 13 people, 14 people, so
And it's not like super technical, knowledgeable the work that we do. I mean, it's not rocket science. Huh? It's super easy. I remember a director that sadly he left the bank, but he always tells the cyclists like it's not rocket science if you know to speak English, if you know to sum, and if you know, I don't know, like to write on the computer, it's okay for the cycle. Okay, so of course you have to kill the technical questions, but the work is like super easy. Like don't imagine that we do here like I don't know, like crazy things. No, we are not the next. We are just super simple. So yeah, you can get into this by making.
There was one last
Yeah.
question.
Hello. Thank you for coming and giving this talk. As a first-year student of BBA, my question is, when can you start thinking about summer internships and developing your CV and your experience to have the best like outcome out of university to get into an investment banking career?
I mean, the sooner the better.
Yeah.
You're in the first year, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I wish I had known this in the first year of my career. I mean, you are in the best position to do, I don't know, spring. I think that in Madrid we have springs, or not in Madrid, but the big banks, they have like the spring in London. You can apply for that summer internship. So you do this, the spring, the summer, the off cycle, and then you, of course, you're gonna get an analyst position. You're in a really good position, I would say.
yeah, go ahead. And
Yeah.
for reference, I did my first summer internship in my first year of the career, and yeah, you're right now like you're in advantage because you know you want to pursue this career, so go ahead and do it. And I would really recommend you to apply to the spring week. It's just 1 week, and obviously it's less competitive because less people know they want to pursue this career, and you get the chance to spend 1 week with really senior people, network within the bank. And if you perform well, you just have to you literally have to showcase that you're interested, you're motivated, you need to get along well with people, And if you do so, you'll get straight into the final round of interview for the summer internship next year, and you'll get rolled over. So, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I think this was very useful. So I'll ask you to join me in a warm applause for Lara, Alejandro, and the organizer for setting this up. And please feel free to get to ask us any other question and chat whenever you want. Thank you very much, Lara and.